So last week was all about searching. And if you remember, I asked you to search with two different intents. The first intent was background information for your introduction. That's what we're going to work on today. The more important component was to start to get ready for Wednesday, when we have our formal search process begin again. So if you, I just got done grading those this morning. And I gave you guys a little bit of feedback. If I just gave you the quick good job, that means you're right where I want you to be. If I asked you a question, it's rhetorical in nature, just something to think about. And if I said we should work on something, that means we will look at it on Wednesday. And if you need some more help at that point in time, let me know, and we can either work yours as an example or work on it together during our session. So now we are going to start writing the very first words of our systematic review. So a few things from your Canvas page that will be helpful if you haven't looked at them already. First off, there is this module on the examples. So these are all class projects that have been done in this class previously, some published, some unpublished. And then this Prisma 2009 checklist. This is the thing that you will want to look at the most. And so let's bring that up to begin with. So what the Prisma 2009 checklist is it is a standardized format for writing systematic reviews. And since somebody already came up with, basically the grading rubric for a systematic review, I, of course, stole it. And by having universal standards on how to do this, it makes reading them a lot easier for the readers, which, of course, is the goal. During the course, you might see in the course schedule, if you're one of the people that looks at course schedules, the numbers, and I'm just referring to these numbers here. So we are going to skip number 1 and number 2 because we can't really do a title or the abstract until we have written the entire paper. And we will go straight to 3 and 4, the introduction. The introduction for a systematic review is very similar to the introduction for other articles that you have read. Right? There's nothing special about a systematic review introduction. It has the 2 components in there, describe the rationale for the review, and provide the purpose statement. So if we look at this, you have a basic 3-paragraph format. Now you can expand, but you probably don't want to go any more than about 5 paragraphs at most for this. So you have these 3 paragraphs or 3 subjects. The first paragraph is the paragraph about the problem. So each of you in your PICO question had some reason you were interested in it. We define that reason as the problem. So you need to explain and justify that there is in fact a problem to be dealt with. Oftentimes, this has a lot of epidemiology research in it, right? How often ankle sprains occur, the competitiveness of athletics, the primacy of the patient in patient-centered care. Some reason we have to believe that this is worth studying and worth evaluating. This is something that never happens, right? Like our PICO question is so unique that nobody else would ever care, and there's no reason that we really came up with it, except for the fact that I assigned it. That's not going to lead to a motivating paper to read. So you first need to start off with, in a paragraph, maybe two, if you have a lot of information in there, on the prevalence of this problem. What is the problem? Remember that secondary citations are not appropriate in this realm. So all of these articles that you're reading probably start with a very similar introduction paragraph. That is fine. In fact, that is a good place to go looking for references about the prevalence of the problem, right? You have these background research articles that you've been reading. They're going to start with an introductory paragraph about that as well. Look at that, kind of see how they format it, but go and find the original articles. Now, at the same note, I want you to notice that there is usually decent gaps between when we assign these components and when they are due. The reason for that is because we actually need to go get these articles. So you need to find the correct articles, not the most easily accessible articles. That's why we started searching last week. We should, in our mind at this moment, have some idea of what articles we may be interested in or where we can find some of this information. First things first, for all of this introduction, is go see if those articles are readily available in full text PDF. If not, get on Interlibrary Loan and get them working on it. They'll get them here in enough time for you to use them for Friday. Does anybody not know how to use the Interlibrary Loan system? Okay, I'll show you real quickly. I don't remember which one I'm sharing. So you can literally do it any which ways. You can literally, I think, email the citation to ill@augie.edu and they'll do it. But that's not the most ideal. Instead, go to this full text finder, type in the journal article or the journal title here. If it comes back that they do not have it, then you just click on this Interlibrary Loan thing that's at the bottom, request it here. You have to sign in if you're not on campus, and then you just put in as much information as you can about the article and submit it, and then they will usually email you a PDF of it. And it takes very little time. So make sure you are doing that. Okay. So the second part of the introduction in this three-part or three-paragraph component, is the theory of why we think our intervention can work. This can be pure theory-based, right? As in the, discussing the fact that like ultrasound increases intramuscular temperature, thereby might increase range of motion. Or this can be, reviews of current research that has been done, not necessarily that is 100% applicable to our question, but goes around the peripheries, maybe one of those other circles off of our concept chart. We don't need to discuss the entirety of our research that we're going to use to answer our question, because that's what the rest of the article is for. We just need to discuss the theory on why we believe our intervention or our, whatever we're writing about could address the problem that we have. And so that's where you usually have one, maybe two paragraphs, again at the most, describing a little bit about what is known. The final paragraph or part begins by introducing an element of controversy. That controversy could be anything from just a pure lack of a systematic review organizing this data for the readership, but usually includes some level of contradictory information and or unknown information. If there is contradictory research out there regarding the efficacy or the effectiveness of our given intervention for our given problem, then it is unknown whether or not that is effective, right? Because if you read one article, it says it is. If you read another article, it says it isn't. Therefore, we need some overarching article to describe the overall effectiveness, hence the higher level of evidence systematic review that we are going to write. And so you introduce this controversy, and then you offer to solve it in your purpose statement, which is number 4. The last sentence of the introduction is always the purpose statement. Okay, so the last sentence of the introduction is always the purpose statement. That is a standard approach. It allows for the reader to find the purpose statement quickly. And it makes sense, right? We introduce this controversy. We're going to offer to solve the controversy. And then we solve the controversy. The PICO question, correct, basically. But it's phrased slightly differently. So let's go to this one here. All right. The second part is the purpose statement always starts with the word therefore. Not sure if that's really a rule somewhere, but it basically is. We've introduced the controversy, then we go, therefore, the goal, the purpose, whatever, of this review was to investigate the ability of neuromuscular electrical stimulation to enhance muscle recovery via functional outcome tests. All right, so you can see the PICO question basically right there. Intervention, neuromuscular electrical stimulation. Outcome, muscle recovery, right, and functional outcome tests. They left out the comparison group and the patient population because if they tried to restrict it any more than that, there would have been not enough research. So this is where, in this statement here, you can decide to go one of two ways. You can, at this point, modify your PICO question, as the author here did, to fit the research, or you can continue with your PICO question, obviously having holes in your research that you would then address in your discussion. It really depends on how much you're interested in your specifics of your PICO question. So for example, let's say that this author was very interested in collegiate athletes. At the end of this, the author could have just wrote in collegiate athletes, period. Then in the discussion, if there were no articles on collegiate athletes, the discussion would begin with statement on there were no research, or there's no specific research found regarding specifically collegiate athletes. However, assumptions can be made from other research involving non-collegiate athletes. And then they would go through, right, their normal discussion and would end with a paragraph or so discussing how the differences between patient populations might be interpretable for the patient population of collegiate athletes. Completely up to you. Whether or not you want to continue down the road of your more specific PICO question, thereby adding some context to that, or if you just want to modify it and say, well, it will then be up to the author or the reader of my paper to make any modifications to their own PICO question that they would want. Make sense? So hopefully you have some idea at the current moment what specific parts of your PICO question you will be able to address and which parts you will not. So that is the introduction. About 3 to 5 paragraphs is all. You can see this one here is 2, right? One very long one that probably should have been broken up. Yes. Can you go over like the controversy again? Yeah, so the controversy can just basically be the fact that it's not, that your PICO question is not specifically known. That's the main controversy. It can either be not known because there's not substantial research in there, or that research has never been synthesized, or a better reason usually is because there's some controversy within the research itself. Some say it's effective, some say it's ineffective. We need higher level research to do that. You could just simply make that the controversy is the fact that in patient-centered medicine, the systematic review represents the highest level of evidence, and the controversy is there is no current systematic review for consideration. Right? That would work too. But there's got to be some reason why we're going to write this besides I assigned it. Because nobody likes reading class assignments. Somebody may be interested in reading our work on trying to answer the PICO question. Other questions about the introduction? Friday, with peer review during Friday's class and over the weekend. In that general neighborhood. It should not be very long. All the examples that you would want to find, or you can pick any systematic review example, but you can find examples from this course in the module on Canvas systematic review examples, which is right above the current module that we are working on. Other questions on the introduction? Very good. So the next thing we will do on Wednesday will be to start writing our methods. And the methods that we're going to start writing are going to be our search strategy. 95% of that should already be done in what we have been doing already. If you have questions or continue to look at that, so you can make any changes on Wednesday before you write it down. Because on Wednesday, we will write it down, and then the following week, we will start executing on that. So although the assignment for this week is the introduction, we will introduce the methods. And so continue to be thinking about that at the same time. Start requesting interlibrary loans for any articles that you think you may need. It's better at this point just to start requesting articles so that way you're not waiting for them later. If we end up not using them, then you wasted some work study students' time at some institution somewhere. They got paid, it's all good. All right. Questions about anything that I am asking you to do between now and Wednesday? Anything else for the good of the cause?